Hey, Hound Dogs, I'm David Hankins.
I'm Paul Hankins.
Welcome to another edition of On the Air with Power Squared, a behind the scenes look at what we hope will be everyone's favorite comic book, Power Squared. We have a special guest with us, Rachel Wells, the artist behind
Hi,
the comic
everybody.
book. Hey.
Yeah.
So let's start off. You've had a injury to your arm.
Yeah. Kind of messed up my arm. It kind of delayed. It was a perfect timing. To the beginning, the beginning of the month. That's when I normally start thumbnails, right?
Right.
I try to get them there to you guys as soon as possible, so that I can get started on pencils as soon as possible. Because pencils, I find, is the part of the comics that take the longest. That's what I find. So that's why I like to do thumbnails as quick as possible. But then I got this arm injury, like at the beginning of the month. And I was like, ugh, and I just pushed everything back because there was other stuff I had to do as well. I had to focus on that before I focused on other things. I was just like, ugh.
So how did you get this
Come
injury?
on. So what happened was I was donating platelets. I like to donate platelets every once in a while whenever I'm eligible. And for anyone who's never donated platelets, usually what happens is they take the blood out of one of your arms and feed it through like a little centrifuge that separates the platelets and gives you back the rest of your blood in your other arm. And for my other arm, the needle, it was what I think they called it an infiltration. The needle basically infiltrated the vein, and was just injecting fluids into my arm, and it gave me a really nasty bruise, and it still hurts. And I couldn't work for a day or two. It wasn't fun. But at least the good thing was that the donation was still usable. It was basically like a whole donation, which is like, okay, that's what matters to me.
So what is the difference between giving blood and giving a platelet?
Giving blood, with whole blood, it usually lasts like maybe 20 to 30 minutes. They take all the blood and they just use it. And I believe like it has a longer shelf life than platelets, I believe. But because of like how much fluid they took out of you, you can only do it every like 56 days or something like that. With platelets, they take out the blood and they give you back the part of the blood they don't need, which is the non-platelet part, I guess, like red blood cells and white blood cells. So you can do it every 7 days because you're not losing as much fluid. You can do it much more often. The thing about platelets is that they have a short shelf life, like 5 days, so they have to use them really fast.
Do you know what's the use for a platelet versus blood?
Platelets, I believe, are used for certain diseases, like certain cancers. I don't know the exact specifics. You'd have to ask the Red Cross. The other thing about platelets is that they take like 2 to 3 hours to take out of you to like get a whole unit. So like they'll sit you in front of like a screen. You can pick out something to watch on Netflix or whatever, which is really nice. I know like a lot of people like to give platelets because it's their time to like unwind and watch something nice.
Well, it's a nice thing to do, and so
It is.
that's something I've never done, but we would
Yeah.
encourage other people to do it, I guess.
For sure, there's way shortages right now, like everywhere around the world. So if you're eligible, apparently only like 10% of eligible donors give, which is just kind of sad. I feel like that's just my opinion, though.
Well, we're not trying to put you on the spot, It's all questions I
That's
have,
okay.
blood,
That's okay.
because this is not a show about blood. So we thought we would talk a little bit about the process. We talked last time about going from the script to thumbnails, and I believe we may have gotten into pencils. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. So I wanted to show you that we go through the thumbnails that you send, and then we make a little sticky note thing about what changes which ones we like and all that, and then I'll put that in an email and send it to you. It's really detailed.
Yeah.
It works for us. So you take the thumbnails, you make pencils out of them, and that is, as you said, the longest process for you.
Yeah, I'd say so. While thumbnails tend to be like really grueling, I think I've mentioned it on a previous podcast. I'm basically taking no images and turning them into images, which is probably it just feels like the most grueling part.
Right.
But once they're done, they're done. And I guess I just start sharing my screen, right?
If you want to, we have some stuff we could share too. But go ahead.
Okay, I have stuff here. Come on, yeah. So I have thumbnail. I don't know if you can see them.
Yes.
I
Oh
have
yeah.
thumbnails here. Um,
Are
so
those
yeah, I feel like the pencils are just the longest part because I have to just construct everything from what are essentially scribbles. They're just scribbles. Um, so basically, I can just run you through how I do it exactly. It's kind of a process.
okay? That'd be good.
So once the thumbnails are approved and y'all have told me like which ones you like best, how else you construct them, any notes, I'll open up the little template. I have like a little file here set up just for new pages. It's the template. Is it the template from
Kablam.
Artismeric?
No, it's from Kablam.
Kablam. Yes. Yeah, for printing. Just make sure everything's kosher for printing. So I have that set up, and I believe which was it? I think you guys liked
We like 9B.
version B of these better. Yeah. So I'll literally just take the whole page there, copy it, and paste it into the file here, and just blow it up, right? So just like that. And then, got that nice and blown up. Like, and I might write any notes that I have for the page like on the file, just so that I remember it. So I remember you guys saying, "Oh, for panels 2 and 3, can you change perspectives?" I'll be like, "Change this," so I don't forget.
Right.
So I have that in there, and once the thumbnail's in there, once it's what the page is going to look like, I'll put in borders. So what I do for the borders is it might be a little roundabout, but it's just how I do things. I'll go into like an old file and just copy the borders from there. That way they're consistent. So like this page like has nice wide like unbroken panel borders, so it's good to use. Um, just paste that into there. I'm just like, oh, there's like the gutter should be here, and like I'll just like construct that until I have something like this. I'll just get rid of these pencils. I've been working on the pencils
No, that's
today.
fine.
Eventually, it turns into this. Yeah, and what I'll also do is I'll make I have the layers here for what do you call it? The panel borders. Then I'll make another layer that has like the white part. So I'll make like a layer of white around the borders so that I remember in the beginning when I first started working for you guys, you guys noted that a lot of the drawing went outside of the panel border, and I was like, I thought it was better than this. Turns out I'm not. So I just put white there to cover up any pencil that might go outside. So that way, it's nice and contained, just like that. It's nice and neat. So I'll do that for all the pages at once. Although usually I'll only work on like 4 at a time. I'll go through the pencils of pages like 1 through 4, send them off to you guys to look at, and while you're looking at those, I'll work on like 5 through 8. Usually batches of 4 pages at a time. It's nice and neat. So yeah, once I have all of those set up, I'll usually make perspective grids for each shot that needs them. They won't all need them, but Clip Studio Paint has a really cool like perspective ruler. I might have showed it off before, but in this shot here, they are like just outside the cafe. It's kind of like a downward shot, like I don't know if I call it a bird's eye view, something like it's a downward shot. So I'll just like go off of the outside, the window there, line 1, line 2. So it makes like a line there, and then a horizon line up here. And because it's a ruler, let me make this up just a touch. It'll only draw along those lines while I have it turned on. It's super useful for when I'm doing structures, like human structures, such as, the cafe, the apartment, anything like with windows or doors or all that fun stuff. And then I'll make a second point. Like that. So I'll do that for each and every panel that needs perspective on all of the pages. That way they're just kind of set up and ready for me to use whenever I need them. Then, yeah, usually I already started working on this page a little bit. This is what I have so far. Usually I'll start with the backgrounds first, because usually in comics illustration it's easier to place a character into the background rather than make a character and then construct a background around them.
Right.
So yeah, usually, plus the backgrounds are just harder. I like doing them, but they're harder. So you want to get the hard work out of the way first, and then do the fun character stuff. So yeah, I've got the backgrounds pretty much done for this one. I've got a little bit of that one done. So yeah, and whenever I finish those backgrounds, I have like a little layer for sketching in the characters. I'll draw like a little sketch, of someone. I'll turn off that thumbnail because it's annoying, and then I'll go over that and just draw the character. And that's how I do pencils, basically.
Oh.
Yeah. Get rid of that. Turn this back to normal. There you have it.
And then eventually, so then you send the pencils to us every, I guess, 4 pages, and we go yes or no or change this. I know we've occasionally said change something here and there.
Yeah. You guys seem pretty it's usually pretty lax, which is nice.
Well, we one of the things I think we learned is let you go. Don't be too much of a.
Yeah. Often it's funny as an artist, I often feel insecure that what I'm doing is the best things. I might send off a file for a client to look at, and they're like, "It's great, it's perfect, I love it. Go ahead with the inks." And I'm like, "Really? You have nothing to say? Nothing at all?"
Well, I know we've occasionally gone back and said make this bigger or that bigger or something like that.
Yeah. And often, yeah, I think I've said before, my pencils are always they're not the most dodgy. I was kind of trained in college to make very tight, nice looking pencils. Often Dom, my husband, will look at my pencils and are like, that's tight enough to be inks, really. Just make those into inks. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's messy. But I'm not always super, because pencils are so difficult to do, to carry out. I'm not always concerned with polish, making it super nice looking. I'll pour that energy into making nice polished inks. So pencils is my time to be messy.
Right. Huh.
For example, especially because in page 10 here, this background is just this background. Or in panel 1, it's the same panel. It's I basically just took the background of panel 1 and what do you call it? I made it bigger. I embiggened it for panel 2. No, it works, but I couldn't do that in inks because then it would look fuzzy. So I'm just going to redraw in inks, but pencils is the time to take shortcuts.
Embiggened it. Okay, that's good.
That's the correct word, right?
Yeah, sounds good to me. I thought it was some sort of art word they taught you. Remember to embiggen it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, what's it called? Control T. It's my best friend. Transform tool. Yeah.
So okay. I did notice on an issue that we're coloring now, or Julia, who's listening, watching.
Hi, Julia.
Hi, Julia.
She was coloring this issue, and there was a page that we were talking about, and I went back and looked, and the pencils there was a difference between the pencils and the inks, a slight change.
Which one?
Well, if we can get to it, it's under power. It's under my writing Power Squared podcast. Oh, good. It's under there's a folder for Rachel. There's not. I did something. Oh, try. Oh, maybe it's on F. Phooey, which I took out. I get confused sometimes. Am I saving this to E or saving it to the thumb drive? And I guess I saved it to the thumb drive. But let's go to issues and how they met, and Rachel and the pencil. Let's go to page 19. Yeah. So, I don't know if we're sharing this or not.
Wait a second. Share screen. It's here.
All right. So in panel 6, see how the boys are kind of really overlaid with each other?
Yeah.
And then when you inked it, you sort of separated them. What I was just I'm not trying to we don't like it, but what made you change that as an example?
Wait, let me look at my own inks.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to remember. I know that often I will make a change between pencils and ink because, like, there might be a mistake in a pencil that I didn't catch. There might be a variety of reasons. I believe on this page in particular, 19, I left that last panel like not distorted for.
We locked up here. Well, we've temporarily lost Rachel.
Yes. Oh no.
Our
my
computer
computer
died. Okay. Oh. Maybe she's coming back.
Yeah, I would. Hope she's coming back. I guess while we're waiting.
Yeah, I guess since we're live, I guess we might say something.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you want to say? It's interesting, to see the process. We don't see that. We just see the end result.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's fine. Yeah, we've had things sort of freeze up but never, or be out of sync. I remember we were doing this at Google Hangouts, people talk and get out of sync.
Am I back? Am I in the video?
We hear you.
It's loading. There it is. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
My computer does that. I think the hard drive is dying. So that's great.
Well, that happens.
Knock on wood, it doesn't happen again. Yeah, there might be, Rose, there's a variety of reasons why I might change some things between pencils and inks. Namely, I might notice a mistake and like that you guys didn't notice, that I didn't notice at first. And just be like, I'll just quietly change this.
Well,
I believe it was like page 15 of this issue. where I noticed that Mocha, the kitsune, into a new panel, but I didn't erase the parts around her, so the trees were weird and off. And I was like, oh no, I have to fix this.
I normally don't go back and look at, the pencils. We kind of take every step as, here are the thumbnails, here's the pencils, and we will sometimes go back and make sure that if we ask for something that you've done it. But when we get to the pencils, we kind of just, or the inks, we sort of assume it's just the pencils inked. And
yeah.
And it was only because Julie was asking a question that I even looked back at the inks, and the pencils were right next to it, and it was like, oh, this is different. It was kind of weird. I had never really yeah, I tend to sort of I think this probably drives Paul crazy a little bit, as I tend to see things, the more I see something, the more I go, oh, wait a minute, that's not what it should be. Maybe I should have caught that the first time, but it may take the fifth or sixth, but sometimes I know we got to the point of coloring it once and went, oh, wait, this isn't quite right, It's just kind of, the more you see, the more it brings it out. So
I think I'll come out and say it. I noticed recently, as I was working on this new batch page, either this batch or last batch, that a previous page in issue 13, like Marty was making this pose, right? And his hands were just straight backwards. Yeah. And I was like, what have I done? I'm a failure as an artist. Unbelievable.
I thought it was a superpower.
It's just a silly... the newest Powers Brothers power.
Yeah. No, I don't think anybody caught that until you pointed that out.
It's so funny, because you'll look at, you might look at a poster or an animation or something, and you're like, that hand is backwards, or like, that hand has one more finger. Like, how did they miss that? And then when you're working in it, you realize, oh, that's how they missed that.
Yeah, so we were wanting, I guess, to recolor and reletter that page, but that happens.
Wait. Yeah, let me share my screen again.
Okay.
Share that. I see what you mean with the change. Yeah, it's a little. It's like, it wasn't the change. It wasn't as different as I was thinking, because, like, I guess my intention with the pencils was that one of the images of the boys would be on top, like, kind of like, you can still kind of see some background there, but it's like kind of translucent. And this one, there's not really any change there. There's, like, I guess the idea was that once everything's colored, then we would distort the image just to make it easier on Julia.
Yeah.
Let me pull up the other one that I was thinking of where I made a change. Yeah, I always feel so silly when I look back on these old pages that are probably finished by the time I look at them, and there's just a glaring mistake, and I'm like, no. No, let's see here. Well, it's one of those things where it's like,
we didn't catch the...
You can't...
Good.
Yeah, you can't grovel over everything. It's just no fun.
Some of you just have to let it... I mean, there was I think an issue we realized that the hound dog's howl wasn't spelled right. Like, oh, well, it's already out.
Oh, no. Yeah. I think I remember looking at, I'm wearing my little Hound Dogs t-shirt, as I always do on these streams. I remember getting it and just looking at it for a good while, thinking, like, there's got to be a typo here, right? I obviously made a typo. I didn't. It's okay. Yeah. Although I noticed that, like, on the shirt, there's just a tiny little bit of color bleed, like, right there. It's so tiny. And I'm like, damn it.
Well, every Magic...
What have I done?
Every Magic the Gathering card back has a stray pen mark.
oh, yeah. It's true. Gosh, where am I? It was one of these pages where I remember now. I copied the background from this page here into another page, and then I noticed when I was going from pencils to inks in the other page that you could still see Mocha's nose. I accidentally copied, and I was like, oh no. Oops. Oh well. It's just, like I said, you can't pore over every single detail in something like a comic, otherwise you'll drive yourself crazy.
Right. You'll have the perfect comic, but it'll take 6 years to do it.
It's true. Like yeah, for sure. But I think that's like I say, as I always say in these streams that it's all about the creative process, man. Like making it a little bit better than it was before.
Yes. I always like to think that with the writing part of it, it's always trying to make it better. So we go through different versions of the script, trying to make it better, a little tighter, make sure no misspelled words.
Absolutely.
But
with writing stuff, whenever I write anything, I'll always put it down for a day and like come back to it then, because I find like if I put distance between the work and myself for like a day, I'll come back and be like, oh, this is wrong. I should rewrite this. Scrap this all. you know. I don't know how you guys write, but there's always something to be improved.
yeah, and I have to print it out to edit it. I can't edit. I mean, I can do some editing while I'm writing, but I can't sit there and do a massive edit of something that's on screen for some reason. It's probably a hangover.
It's true. I used to often when I'm working with a comic script, I have to turn it into pages. I'll print it out and draw like little preliminary thumbnails in the sides, whatever you call those, the sides of the paper where there's some space. I'll like draw a little thumbnail to envision what the margins. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Often I'll draw in the margins and big in the margins. I need embiggened margins, please. But and I'll often like make notes or write questions on the script, like what does this mean? Often to like remind myself to go back and ask whoever wrote it, like, hey, what did you mean by this? It's like, yeah. Excuse me? You have something to say. Do you want to add to the podcast?
You can bring her in if you want to. Susie Q, is that the...
Susie Q. I'm not going to be able to do it without... there I go. Come here. Here, you crazy cat. Wow. Here she is. She's going crazy.
Is she a special breed of cat, or is she just a...
She's just a normal, like, American short hair. For people who in the stream who weren't here earlier, I like to bring her upstairs with me when I do video calls, so that she doesn't go crazy downstairs without me. But now she's going crazy up here, so what am I gonna do with you? It's true, It's such a toss-up. Like sometimes I'll bring her up here and she'll sleep comfortably on the bed or in the closet, and it's like, thank you. Another time she'll she'll get into the clean laundry. Or she'll just want to get on my lap and rub all up on my technology like she's doing right now. Yeah, what are you going to do? Where were we? Pencils, inks.
Yes, pencils and
comics.
Inks, the difference between, yeah. So, I think we kind of covered the stuff we just wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long process. It's surprising how long, you look at a comic page for like maybe 5 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds, right? And you wouldn't think just looking at it that it takes so many hours of work to make, not just like drawing it, but writing it and editing it. It's such a process.
Yeah.
You want to ask her about how many panels? You want to do a little? You're writing a script.
Yeah. I'm writing a Power Squared script as a one shot.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, done in one issue. Because I don't think I have enough plot to make it like 2. I guess the question is, how many panels do you think you'd be able to fit on a page? Does it kind of depend?
As a general question, I think the amount of panels on a page can really just depend on the story. I remember looking in school at this random Wonder Woman comic that had like 30 panels on a page,
Wow.
like anything's possible. But for a story like Power Squared, I find that like the sweet spot is 5 to 8 panels. 8 panels can be tricky, especially when there's a lot of dialogue.
Yeah.
But it's not impossible, you know. I guess I believe the general advice is like, you know, think about how much dialogue is on a panel or on a page, I mean, and what exactly is happening in that page, and like go from there. Do what you think is appropriate, you know. So I'll do whatever you think is right.
This would be like 9 panels.
Well, I was thinking of a page with like 9 panels, but I'd be cheating a little and having an inlay.
I wouldn't say that's cheating. But you know, I often find that like, you know, when you have more panels on a page, they tend to be smaller, and that tends to quicken the pace of the comic just because, you know, you're not looking at them for quite as long. There's not as much information. So that's something to consider when you're thinking about how many panels to put on a page, you know.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, and for like this past issue 15, there's a lot of pages that are kind of like what we're looking at right now that are like 5 panels, maybe even 4 panels.
Right.
But they tend to go a little bit quicker regardless. I mean, on one hand, they're bigger panels, so you're just kind of looking at them for longer by default, as opposed to a smaller panel. But there's not much going on there. Like, you know, they're just kind of looking at each other in this first panel. But there's no dialogue, you know? They're just kind of standing there. Yeah. So it kind of goes quickly at the same time. There's a lot of stuff to think about when you're writing a comic, when you're thinking about the look of the comic.
Right. Okay.
I can go on about this. Yeah.
Well, we don't want to keep you too long. I know it's this, you know, Friday night and all that. So we do appreciate you taking the time to come back, and we'll probably have you back again before we're, you know, probably next month.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, because it's nice to. It's good to, and we'll probably bring Julia back, and just because it's good to sort of see how, you know, it is part of a creative process. It's not just us writing it and it's done. There's a lot of work that goes into it. So that'd be awesome. I love being on these podcasts. I love, you know, talking about my craft. So it's my pleasure. All right. So
if you're watching this on YouTube, if you like this, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and ring the notification bell if you want to see exactly when these videos go up.
So until next time, I'm David Hankins.
I'm Paul Hankins.
And you've been on the air with Power Squared.